All right, how's it going, permaculture community? Now, it's Thanksgiving Day. I've been sick for the last 2 days. First, the kids got sick, and then I got sick. However, I'm back in it. And this has been in progress for a few years now. This is my hole in the ground. So right now, this is the deepest spot. This is my reference. It is about 5.5 feet deep. The plan is for it to go down 14 feet straight down, and have a barrel vaulted ceiling, which then becomes a floor for the next layer that then goes up another barrel vaulted ceiling that then makes the floor, and then the barn goes on top of it. And the idea is that you go down deep enough, that will be the bare floor, damp root cellar. The next floor above it is going to be the dry cellar, where it's nice and cool but a lower humidity. And the idea in the dry cellar here would be to have kegs for winemaking. We're talking 500 or less, maybe 400 to 500 gallon kegs for making wine. Probably 2, maybe 3, if I can get enough white oak to make them. And then other things on top of that. But the idea of behind having 2 layers is that why build 2 different root cellars that only go down 8 feet in the ground, 9 feet in the ground, when you could just, double stack and make sure that you have enough French drainage around the perimeter so that heavy rains can be pumped out from a sump pump or bucketed out from a sump in one of the corners. So this project has been on the to-do list for probably 3 years now. I mean, look at the moss. You can see this has been sitting here for quite a few years, slowly eroding the gravel. I mean, you can tell how serious I am about structure and infrastructure. This is the soil. This is the amount of gravel that I put down to stabilize this building. That's 1, 2.5 of my hands. So it's not that deep the whole way. I just did kind of a basin shape to my footing, and it then has not my footing, but as I was making my footings, and then it has a hip that goes down to like the code recommended depth, still below the frost line, and then it dips back down again here. And this is where I poured extra thick for the foot. There's actually a footing ledger poured into the concrete itself, so that the concrete has a flat structure, but then on the ends it has kind of a dip to it that forms almost like an I-beam around the entire perimeter. And I did more internal structure here inside and put reinforcement metal mesh in there. Excuse me. So this building, when completed, is going to be the food storage / energy barn. So the idea being that you'll be able to walk down in here any time of the year. It'll be nice and cool, and we'll be able to keep food for an extended period of time. Behind me there's a tank. That tank is going to be used for making a outdoor wood burning boiler. This boiler will probably provide all the heat for the farm, supplementing the storage that's going to get put in on the other end of this barn. So on the other end of this barn, there is a 9-foot radius, 18-foot diameter, 19-inch deep, cone-shaped addition to the slab that was poured in order to support a 9,000, probably 10,000 gallon tank that I'm going to put above it that is just purely going to have filtered, captured rainwater, so distilled water. And the idea behind that is thermal banking, storing heat all summer long through hot water heating panels, through hot water. I'm going to acquire old satellite dishes and cover them in mirrors and make my own reflectors, my own parabolic mirrors out of glass mosaic mirror, and have a stainless steel bulb that heats up the water, and just do all sorts of things to pack in as much heat as possible into this giant hyper insulated tank. The reason behind that is if there's enough energy, enough BTU stored in that tank, and there's an insulated line that pipes directly into the house or straight from the barn, you can run a geothermal style system, a refrigerator heat pump, and heat your system by using the stored energy instead of having to run a well pump that pulls up 40 plus degree, 50 degree water and goes through gallons upon gallons. There are units now that are made that actually sip. They almost act like a large diastolic pump, and they sip just as much fluid as they need, and then pull the heat out of that through the refrigeration cycle until it gets down to 50, 60, and then it continues. So it has a feedback loop that senses the temperature of the incoming fluid and then adjusts the speed of the pump accordingly. And this is hyper efficient. When this system is complete, if I can get a DC version so I can run it off of solar panels or wind turbines, the idea between that and supplementing with the large outdoor boiler, the idea is to be completely self-sufficient. And if the boiler is cranked up, as it were, if the boiler is put into a high heat mode, it literally would produce enough low pressure steam to run a small steam generator. Basically, in the middle of summer, if there's a construction project that needs power and we're off the grid, not right now, but in the future, we can fire that up and actually produce steam to run equipment, a small steam engine. This is, as long as it rains and you have wood, this is the best solution. Forget diesel generators, forget gasoline generators. Biogas would be good if you have a adequate source of biogas and the infrastructure to compress it, but you cannot beat the simplicity when it comes down to it of steam and the efficiency of being able to just go and grab sticks and twigs and wood and burn it and make energy. If you were considering a lot of things, you could actually make it a biochar unit that you're actually preheating the water with a biochar unit before it goes into the steam generator. And that's part of my plan. I don't know if I'll make them attached to begin with. I want to test them both separately, and I necessarily don't want to make steam with this unit yet, but in eventuality, being able to preheat the water with a biochar unit producing biochar, so I'm not taking as much heat out of it so that the pyrolysis can happen effectively, then utilizing the high temperatures that you can pull the heat out of with a large coil system inside the main boiler. Then we're talking about producing large volumes of low pressure steam, not high pressure. We're not talking about dry steam or even, like nothing that would actually be dangerous or explode. Nothing like that. Weak copper pipes that if anything did happen, you put weak copper pipes around a stainless steel sleeve, or there are lots of ways to make sure that you protect yourself in case of a blowout, and lots of ways to make it so that you do not produce high pressure steam. So the steam making will only happen well into the future if things get as bad as people predict, or if we have an actual, machined and produced high tolerance steam producing, almost like a model train. There are gentlemen out there and ladies that participate in small steam driven model trains. Same technology that's been around since the 1800s. So, yep, the Vensic, feeling better. Working on this hole is on the list. And wintertime's not the best time because the ground does freeze when it even down 8-9 feet when it's exposed. So, yeah, keep on working. Enjoy your turkey day, and I'll see you in the future. Bye.